Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and we're looking at the 2016 Lincoln MKX, which is all new for the 16 model year. It is, of course, based on the Ford Edge, which was all new last year. It's kind of odd, I think, that Ford chose to update the lesser Ford before the premium badged Lincoln, but there you have it. And that ties into probably the biggest potential issue for this vehicle, and that is its ties, its kinship to the Ford Edge. Not that there's anything wrong with the Edge, but it is a Ford, and Lincoln is a premium brand. Most of the other premium brands tend to put more distance between their models and their bread and butter models, if there are even any bread and butter models. BMW, Mercedes, for instance. They don't sell lesser versions of their cars. Audi does to some extent with VW models, and a couple of other manufacturers do that as well. Acura and Cadillac, there's some commonality and cross-pollination, but this is a more direct relationship. The MKX is essentially a Ford Edge. However, there are a number of noteworthy differences between it and its more plebeian Ford stablemate. Aside from the obvious visual differences, you do get different exterior sheet metal, you get a different front clip, and you get a revised interior, which I'll show you momentarily. But functionally, the Edge comes standard with a 4-cylinder engine, which is not offered at all with the Lincoln, appropriately enough, and the Lincoln comes standard with a 3.7 liter V6 that's not offered in the Edge at all. And the step-up engine, which is new, the previous MKX didn't offer an optional engine, is the 2.7 liter twin-turbo EcoBoost engine. And while the Ford Edge also offers that engine, the Lincoln version of it is more powerful by about 10 horsepower, and you can get it as an option in all of the MKX's trims, of which there are several. Whereas with the Ford, the powerful 2.7 liter engine is only available with the Sport. And the Sport trim is actually pretty pricey. Its MSRP pretty much overlaps with the lower end of the MKX's pricing structure, so that's something to ponder. Relative to probably the two vehicles in this class that it's most similar to, which would be the Lexus RX 350 and the Cadillac SRX, you get a roomier vehicle here, and you get a much quicker vehicle. With that 2.7 liter engine, this thing will run to 60 in about 6.4 seconds. Surprisingly, I was looking at the specs for the new, just updated Lexus RX, and even though it's stronger, it's up to 295 horsepower now, it's significantly less quick than this thing is. It takes about 7.5 to 7.7 seconds. That's a second's difference, and it's pretty slow for the segment. Of course, people who buy luxury cars like this tend not to worry too much about how quickly they can run from one stoplight to another, but the thing that does matter to them, and which I appreciate, having spent a week with this car, is the tremendous torque that the 2.7 liter twin-turbo V6 produces. 380 foot-pounds at 3,000 RPMs, and just to give you some sense of that in perspective, that's comparable to what 5-liter-ish V8 would give you. But the gas mileage is actually pretty good. In fact, the EcoBoosted 2.7's numbers are virtually identical to those of the standard 3.7 V6, and they're as good or better than the mileage that you'd get in the Lexus or in the Cadillac, and neither of those two offer an upgrade optional engine. So that's pretty cool. Also, this vehicle gives you significantly more room on the interior, than the Lexus, surprisingly, or the Cadillac. You got a good inch to 3 inches, depending on which one you're comparing it to, more backseat room. And what's particularly cool, by the way, the rear seats here, they actually recline. In addition to folding forward, which is of course common, everybody does that, they also recline. So that makes this vehicle particularly comfortable on road trips. The cargo capacity behind the second row is also significantly greater than other vehicles in this class, so that's pretty cool. Show you some other things too. If I can pop this open, and Ford vehicles have this too. Capless fuel filler door, so you don't have to worry about taking on and off the gas cap anymore. Just put your gas nozzle in there and fuel up. That's kind of handy. But word to the wise, if you run out of gas and try to refuel with a portable gas can, and you stick the little rubber fuel neck thing in there, this thing might grab a hold of it. I learned that the hard way, so be careful if you do that. All right, let's move on into the interior. Lincoln did do a number of things to differentiate this from the Ford. Of course, it's a Lincoln, so you've got this kind of cool touchpad key entry system, which is unique to Lincoln models. Very neat. It's something that lets you get into the car without the fob. If you got the fob, the car will unlock automatically, but if you leave your key fob in there, it's kind of handy to have that. You can't see it now, but at night when you open the door, it will project the little Lincoln badge here onto the ground. A number of manufacturers are doing that. Ford actually, I think, was one of the first that did it with the Mustang, and they're doing it here as well. These seats are available with massagers, and that's definitely something that you can't get in the Edge. And let me tell you what, that's the ticket. We really like those massaging seats. I wish they put them in more modestly priced vehicles. It's the ticket. You also get a different gauge cluster, a different interior layout, and the chief obvious difference between, let me turn the car on, the chief obvious difference between the Lincoln and the Ford, you'll probably see it. Here you've got a push-button gear selector rather than having it on the center console as is typical. And the nice thing about that is that it frees up all this space. In the Edge, you've got the shifter handle right here, and here you've got this nice big additional storage area, and there's your USB port, and you've also got nice big cup holders. So you've got the additional storage capacity, plus it looks slick. And the fact of the matter is that all cars now use drive-by-wire, meaning that everything's engaged by electronics and actuators, not by cables. So in a car that has a cable shifter or a gear shifter here, you're not actually touching the transmission, you're just engaging sensors that tell the transmission to move from one range to the next. So why not have it here? That's pretty neat. You've also got a different gauge cluster. The Ford has that kind of generic cluster that they use in several of their models, so Lincoln, excuse me, wisely decided to give the Lincoln its own unique Lincoln-esque gauge cluster. Also, you can get this with the ultra premium Revel sound system, which has 19 speakers, and it's got a big amplifier and a bunch of other features too, and that's not offered in the Ford. The one thing that I will complain about, and it's an oddity and I just don't get it, this is a 16 model and it has last year's version of the Ford MyTouch LCD interface. Now they call it My Lincoln Touch, but it's the same thing. Whereas the 2016 Edge gets the new Sync 3 system, which is an improvement over this. This is something that a lot of automotive journalists, me included, and just consumers generally have been complaining about. It's kind of awkward to use. You got these tiny, tinky little buttons here. Here's your button for your settings, here's your button for home, here's information, and it's fine while I'm sitting here with the car stationary, but while you're trying to move it, touching these buttons can be a little bit awkward. They're too small, and there's a lot of steps that you have to go through that are kind of inscrutable. Let me show you the one other thing that I'm kind of not too happy about with this car. We've got this floating console here, as you can see, and it looks pretty. You've got this top tier and this lower tier here, and this lower tier is kind of handy to put stuff out of sight. This one, on the other hand, not so much. You can see I'm having to squat down here on my hands and knees just to show it to you. That's where the power point is. I've got my Valentine 1 radar detector hooked up. But it's really difficult if you're actually sitting in the car, like I am now. You see, look, you try and get to it, and it's just, there it is. It's just kind of awkward to get to it. So I'm not a huge fan of that. But that's, that's a little nit to pick. Nothing that I would really keep me from buying the vehicle. Again, probably the chief issue that Lincoln has got is that a lot of people are going to look at this thing and say, well, hey, that's a Ford Edge with a Lincoln grille and some Lincoln styling affectations and a higher price tag. And it's true, and there's nothing wrong with the Edge. The Edge is a really nice crossover SUV, and this is a nicer crossover SUV with a lot of features that you can't get in the Edge, but nonetheless, it is still related to the Edge, and that may or may not prove to be a problem for Lincoln. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, the rest of the review is up on the site, epautos.com, and thanks for watching, and next week we should have a review up about the new Mazda Miata, which should be arriving here in the woods at any time. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.